Hello and welcome to Creator Toolbox. This is your video series where we bring you the tools you need to be an effective developer. We are currently rolling through, actually, we're near the end of the San Diego season. Show them, Earl. When you see that little bug in the corner, it means it's part of the San Diego season. So, in about 6 months, you'll be seeing the Tokyo tag up there. And we really appreciate it. If you missed anything, since we are nearing the end of our quarter-long series, if you missed anything, you can go to devlink.sn/San Diego. Psst, Earl, the link.
Oh, the
That's the one. We have a blog out on the developer portal that has all of the links. If you want to go back and look at Flow Designer or integrations or AES or anything, it's all there cataloged for you between Creator Toolbox, Live Coding Happy Hour, Breakpoint Podcast, Tech Now. It's grand, but I don't want to deluge you with a bunch of commercials. I just want to remind you where you can find anything if you went, hey, where was that master link? Or if you're joining us for the first time, thank you very much for joining us. Let's go around and do some quick introductions, then we'll get into our topic today. So first, this man to my left.
Hey, everybody. My name is Brad Tilton. I am a senior developer advocate with a developer program here at ServiceNow. I've been developing on the platform for a while and am excited to see what's new in mobile today.
Hi, everyone. I am Earl Duque. I am a developer advocate with the team here at ServiceNow. Been with the team about 6 months, but before that, I was in a lot of higher ed customers in California. Hannah?
Hi, y'all. My name is Hannah Bassana. I'm a product manager on the mobile team working on the builder products, such as mobile app builder, mobile card builder, which you'll see today, and mobile publishing as well. And I have a great teammate, David.
Hello, everyone. My name is David Murch. I'm also a product manager on the mobile platform, like Hannah, also focusing on the mobile builders, mobile app builder, mobile card builder, and we'll those today.
Thank you for joining us, David and Hannah. They are the rock stars of today's show. The three clowns up here on top are just like we're the peanut gallery this time around. So we've got commentary. We may even have enough knowledge to make us dangerous, but we want to see what David and Hannah can show us that's new in mobile in San Diego. Since this is the San Diego release, that makes sense. So without further delay, I'm turning it over to you, David.
Thanks, Chuck. And I appreciate you having us back today. It's been a little bit since we've been on Creator Toolbox, especially from App Builder. I want to say it's been since October, November, sure, possibly. So we've got some to show you, some new up Builder, both in our February product. Those are live and in the store. And then I can touch on a little bit of what we're going to be adding going forward in our future releases. So first off, I'd like to start with Mobile App Builder. And what we did in the past time frame for Mobile App Builder is we really focused on adding that feature parity between Mobile App Builder and what mobile platform can do. Again, I've mentioned it, I think in the first installment of Creator Toolbox for Mobile App Builder. Some of the problems with our older developer tools for mobile is they couldn't actually do everything that the mobile platform can do. You could go into like a tool like Mobile Studio and only get like 50-60% of your work done because it just couldn't support anything. So our core goal for App Builder phase 1 has been to get to that point of full feature parity between what Mobile App Builder can configure and what mobile platform can do. And in our recent releases, we've moved that parity gap from like we had like 60 to 70% of all features covered in the first iteration of Mobile App Builder. Now we're up to like 90%. So we're getting real close to having everything working in Mobile App Builder.
Which just makes it more efficient to stay in Mobile App Builder. You don't have to keep jumping to the platform to do this odd exception. Actually, it's now the odd exception. It didn't used to be, but it's okay. So faster development. Love it.
Yep, exactly. Our goal there is to get everything into one tool so you don't have to jump around. So I'll touch on the new features that we added in a little bit. The first thing I want to do was touch on some help that we've added to the product. And the first thing you'll see here is when we log in, if I'm a user coming in my first time, we're going to get a popover tool modal. And unfortunately, as live demos often can, this is not showing me everything I would like it to show. Looks like our graphic is broken, and I apologize for that. What this modal gives us, though, is a guided tour of Mobile App Builder. So when you come in, it gives you some information about what the tool is, what you can use it for, and you can move through the tour. And unfortunately, our graphics are not working. And again, I apologize for that. But the steps, the text that you see at the bottom there, are going to give you some information about what Mobile App Builder is and what you can use it for. And you can go through the tour. I'm going to move through this quickly since we don't have our nice graphics. And at the end, you have an option to get started, and you also can close this window so that you don't see it again in the future. Once that is closed, we have a little pop-up that points you to our new enhanced help menu. And previously in Mobile App Builder, the question mark up at the top, all it did was have a link to our documentation website, just took you right to documentation. Now we've expanded that help menu. You can relaunch that help overview if you need to. If you want to go back and look at it again, you can run that tour modal again. You can open a modal that will help you find our mobile applications. So you can choose the app you want, either now mobile or agent, and you can choose the platform, iOS or Android, and we'll give you a QR code that you can scan and go right to the specific app store and download the link. We also have, we still have that link to our product documentation. So if you want to get out to our mobile documentation easily, you can go right to it. And lastly, we are listing our Mobile App Builder version number so that if you're ever on the phone with support and you're trying to ask some questions, it's much easier to know what version you're on rather than having to go to the plugins page and search for it and find the version.
Well, that's nice because the plugins page takes about 2 minutes to come up. I could, it's a good old help about screen that every other application has. It's nice to see that starting to become a thing within our platform.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we're trying to expose more information easier to the user so they don't have to go manually dig for it somewhere. Next, we get into the configuration experience itself. We've got a couple new navigation helpers along the way. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a screen. And you'll see here, again, this is my first time logging in. We're going to get these tour popovers that help you understand how the navigation works. So you can come in, you can hit your next button. This will tell you that the left-hand navigation here is where your configuration tree lives, and you can navigate through it. Then a little blurb about what the center config panel is. We'll explain to you what the UI preview panel is. And again, I cannot explain why my graphics aren't working. I was using this earlier today and they were. So we've had some sort of hiccup on my instance in the last hour or two.
It only happens on live streams, don't worry.
Of course. So this is just kind of walking you through how this config panel is laid out and what all the different sections are for. And again, that's for that first-time user, and to give them a little bit of guidance as they're moving through. This particular tour modal, once you go through it the first time, we're automatically saving that you've seen it, and we're not gonna bother you with it every time you come in. Also, that help menu we still have that expanded help menu here on the record configuration panel, and you can relaunch that record configuration tour if you want to as well. So if you need a little bit of refresh, you can go back and relaunch that. Some other improvements we've made to Mobile App Builder, specifically around the navigation. In the first version of Mobile App Builder, our content tree on the left-hand side was completely static. You could not expand or collapse any of the content tree. You couldn't resize anything. So we've improved that experience to make it a little bit easier to navigate in the content tree, make it a little bit more consumable. So all of these content tree nodes can now be collapsed and expanded. So if you want to clean up your view and just look at a certain level of the content tree, get things out of the way to make it a little easier to look at, you can do that. You can drag the panel wider or narrower if you want to give yourself more space in the center config panel. And then for both the preview panel and the content tree, we also have the option to just completely hide them. So again, if those aren't helpful for you, you want to dedicate more space to that center config panel, we now have that option as well. So those navigation and helper improvements that we've added to Mobile App Builder are some of the main noticeable things that you can do in App Builder between our last 2 releases. We've also, as I mentioned, added support for more of what mobile platform can do. So we've added support for things like the calendar screen, the map screen, content sections, all the other we have full support now for all Apple Launcher sections and their configuration points. And the only things we don't support at this point are the custom map screen that was added in Rome, and then some like small little niche configuration points like badge count on an Apple Launcher function, or we also don't have like deep linking and push notifications. Those are all things that we are adding for our August release, and as well as all the new San Diego features that are that have been released. We will have support for those in our August release as well. And that specifically is changes around what cards can do, mobile cards, and how they can be configured on a record section. So when we hit that August release, we will have 100% feature parity with mobile platform as of the San Diego release. And that is a huge milestone for the mobile builders because, as I mentioned before, in the mobile studio days, we never got north of 65 or 70% feature parity at any point. So that's going to be a really big milestone for us coming in our August release. So that's everything I've got for Mobile App Builder today. I can pause for a quick second to see if there's any questions before I move on over to what's new in Mobile Card Builder.
Yeah, we had a question from a viewer asking about if the example interface on the right side will ever be more of a simulator or an emulator for the mobile app.
Yeah, that is absolutely our long-term goal. We don't have a timeline on it yet, but the mobile interface example on the right-hand side that you can't see right now it's just a static example of like what each record represents. Long-term, we want that to be a full-blown emulator so that as you're configuring things, you'll see exactly what they look like right inside Mobile App Builder. You won't need to go to your mobile phone, or you won't need to have your own emulator sitting on your desktop.
Awesome.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay. So now I'm going to move on over to Mobile Card Builder. And for Mobile Card Builder, again, we've made some more enhancements, just around navigation and function or record management, things like that. But the big improvement that we've added to Mobile Card Builder for this February release is the ability to configure UI rules on a mobile card. And I don't want to spend too much time on the platform UI configuration of mobile UI rules, but I do want to show it just so we can kind of highlight the drastic improvement we've made in the configuration experience. So in just regular platform lists and forms, if I wanted to configure a UI rule, there's several different steps that I've got to take to just prep myself for doing that configuration. First, I need to know the card that I want to edit. So for example, later on, I'm going to edit this card here in my mobile app. So this is the My Tasks card. So the first thing that I've got to do is identify that card. So I'd have to go in and go syssg, view config, and then find the card in my list of items here. I know that's my tasks card, so I'll search for it. Task list card. So then I have to go into that record and I need to identify the template because I need to pull some items from the template JSON. So I'm going to go ahead and open up that template. And then I have to read this JSON to identify the cells that I want to edit. So for example, if I want to change the background color of my priority field, I somehow have to understand how to come into this JSON and extrapolate that priority field is actually text elements text underscore 04 and text underscore 05. So no, let's not do that. So if I go control find text underscore 04, like I have to identify that this maps to this. Now is one of the really big challenges with UI rules in this experience. So once I've identified that, I then have to go to syssg UI rule. Don't want to save that. And create a UI rule and a UI rule action. So to do that, I'll open up one that we've got that's already existing. You have to come in, define your UI rule, and then for the UI rule actions, let's say I wanted to make that priority field have a yellow background. I've got to come in here. I have to notice set my UI rule operation is set UI style. And then I've got to, as I mentioned, I had to have known that I'm targeting text underscore 04, select it from this very pretty dropdown. And now I have to write some JSON to change my background color. I know a little bit about JSON. I don't know very much, and I don't enjoy trying to figure JSON out. So rather than going through that long process to make my background color here a different color, I'd rather just go into Mobile Card Builder.
All right, Billy Mays, show us how much better it is now.
Exactly. Now we're going to show you the improved experience. So now we come in. I'm going to open up that same card in Mobile Card Builder. As we've seen before in Card Builder, you get a nice visual layout of what you're looking at. No messy JSON. And again, I know that I want to do something with my priority fields here. So if I click on the priority field, we highlight that field in the content tree, and you can see we're telling you right here in the content tree what the JSON element ID of that record is. So you don't have to hunt for it. You don't have to translate. We're just going to tell you that priority field is mapped to text underscore 05. This priority field is mapped to text underscore 04. And where that is super helpful is in the creation of the UI rule itself. So if I come over to my new UI rules tab, you can see that it'll show me any existing UI rules, and I have the option to create a new one. And again, the UI rule record structure is a two-part structure. There's the parent, where you are defining the condition you want to have met, and then you have children, the UI rule actions, where you actually define what you want to do if the condition is met. So in this situation, I've already got a UI rule for when priority is critical, and I want to set a different UI rule for when priority is really low. We'll go when priority is planning. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to add that UI rule, give it a name, and then we're still living in a world where we have to type out a condition. We're working on a condition builder for this, but that's probably going to be late this year or early next year when we'll have that available. But again, this is where knowing text underscore 05 and not having to dig for it, because I can just come right in here, text underscore 05, because we're going to reference this priority field, and then just go equals 5 for planning. And again, you can get that off of your information here. Priority 5 is planning. So I add that, and now I've got my new UI rule for priority is planning. But how do I go about making the particular elements do what I want them to do or show what I want to show? I'm not going to do it with JSON, I'll tell you that. Instead, I'm going to come in here, I'm going to click the element I want to impact, and then you see these little icons that we have here next to the trash cans. Mm-hmm. If I click that, I'm going to get a little popover, which gives me all of the options I have for that particular element type.
Nice.
So since this is a text element, I have the option to hide the element. I have the option to change the text color, and I have the option to change the background color. Well, in this situation, because priority is planning is pretty low, like that doesn't really get me worked up that I have to focus on my planning level priority items. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the entire container that those two are in, and when priority is planning, I'm going to hide the element. And you can see when I check that box, you get a preview of what's going to happen when that UI rule is executed. Once I click out of it, that comes back. So the preview is when you're in the popover. So when priority is planning, I want to.
You can actually, so you're controlling a larger container from a smaller rule.
Correct.
Nice.
Yep. And I want to show you the variety we can do here. So again, when priority is planning, let's just hide those fields. It's not very important to me. But when priority is critical, I want to call attention to it. So I've already got a priority is critical UI rule. I'm going to open that one up. And for the priority field on the left-hand side, I'm going to change that background color. And I'm going to make it a, kind of like a soft yellow that's going to draw attention to it. And I am partially colorblind, so I am not able to use the nice color pickers we have in the tool. I actually have to go grab the hex color to make sure I'm getting the color I want. So bear with me 1 second while I do that.
Hey.
And then in future iterations of this color picker, we're actually going to have the hex codes right next to it. So you'll be able to see it right off as well.
Yeah, and we do have that today where like when you hover state, you can see the hex code. And I could have spent a little bit of time searching for it, but I'll just go ahead and type it in. And again, you're going to see that background that's going to show you the preview. And if I want to pop over to my actual value, so the left-hand priority field is your label, the right-hand field is the value. I want to make that value field a red. So we're going to make that one and again, we'll get our little, oh, actually I didn't want background color. That's my mistake. I wanted to change the text color. Again, you get your preview. And now I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And we'll show you that in action. So once I refresh here, you'll see now my priority field has the label has a little yellow behind it to draw attention to it. And the actual value is red if it's critical.
Nice.
And for those planning ones, we've hidden the priority information altogether. Other options that we have, again, this is element specific. So if I click on a button element, for example, I'm going to have different options in the UI rule configuration. On buttons, I can disable the button. I can't hide it, but I can disable it. And again, you'll see what that looks like. I could change the background color. I could change the text color if I wanted to. And then on image elements, which I don't have an image element on my card, you can hide those as well, just like we did with the text element. So we'll go ahead and show you that real quick, what the disabled button looks like. Now you can see on my critical items, the button is disabled. And you can set UI rules that have no condition. You can leave the condition box empty. And that's how you could do something that like changes, makes a button disabled all the time if you wanted to for some reason, if you had a use case where you wanted something to be always enabled. So that's an overview of how you can configure UI rules in Mobile Cart Builder. And as you can see, it's a much faster process. You don't have to know all the background structure. You don't have to understand any JSON. You just come in, you define your condition, you click on your element type, and we give you the options you have to configure the UI rule for that element type. The final thing I haven't mentioned, you'll notice that as I did all that UI rule configuration, we get these little icon indicators, and that's just to let you know that you've got, that element is affected by a UI rule. If you click on the element, you'll also get the matching indicator up here to let you know which UI rule is affecting that element.
Nice.
You know, for example, you know, for the priority fields, we did it under critical, but for the container, we did it just under planning. So that's the last item that we had as far as UI rules. Any questions there before I touch on just a couple other minor UX updates for Mobile Card Builder?
Are there any other kind of actions that are going to be added to the UI rules that are on your roadmap?
So there are 2 more actions that we will be adding, planning for our August release. One is it's called time ago formatting, which allows you, if you have a date field on your card, rather than showing the actual date, it'll convert it to like 2 weeks ago, 3 months ago,
nice.
4 years from now, that sort of thing.
Nice.
And then there is what's called a text decorator UI rule, which allows you to choose a text element and conditionally add an icon to it. And traditionally, those have been used by our business units to put like a little indicator next to a piece of text if it meets a specific condition, just like a little, you know, it's a decorator. It's a little, hey, pay attention to me piece of text.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, I could come in and if it's priorities critical, I could, instead of making it red, I could put a little circle next to it that's red, something like that.
Nice.
Also for the August release, we're going to be adding in the new element types that were introduced in San Diego. So there's a new video element that was introduced. You can play Vimeo or YouTube videos on your card. There's updates to the container element where you can set an image as a background. Currently, you have the ability to do a color as a background, but we're updating it to image. And then we're also updating the image elements so that you can set a static image rather than, you can map it to an image off the attachments table rather than having to map it to a field on a different table, like the task table or incidents table. And the last element update that we're adding in for that August release is the ability to configure an icon element. So you could come in if you want a static icon to display, you can show that, or you can configure that in Mobile Card Builder.
Great stuff. I like it. Just makes everything so much easier. I love it.
Yeah. We've been looking forward to getting UI rules put in there because UI rules was added in Quebec, I think, in mobile platform, and very quickly we received feedback that it was a rather complex configuration, and so we've been very, very eager to get it into Card Builder. It took a little longer than we wanted to because we've been putting so much effort into Mobile App Builder, and that's the same team, same dev team manages both products. So it had to wait a little bit longer, but now that we've got it in there, it's been a big UX improvement. Couple other things just that we've added, little UX enhancements in Mobile Card Builder here. You'll notice here on the card, we're actually showing the table that is tied to this card. That's not something we had in the Mobile Card Builder UX before. And the reason we're doing that is because it helps us better configure mobile empty state experiences. The first versions of Mobile Card Builder, you basically had to have a table tied to your card. But now if I want to, I can come in, I can change the table record through our drop-down menu. I can choose a different table if I wanted to point this card to a different table, or I could select none. And again, that is valuable for empty state record configuration. So we're one step closer to having full empty state configuration in Mobile Card Builder. Really, the only thing we're missing for that configuration is the static image element, which we're adding in the August release.
I was just about to ask, what would be the use case for having a card not attached to a record?
It's purely for if you want to show, like if you've got a list that doesn't have any records, just because of the data query you're running, right? So, and I think I have an example. No, I don't have an example configured in my current mobile app, but it's like if you've got a data query that's returning all of my open tasks and you've closed out all your tasks, rather than getting an empty screen, you get a nice little graphic that says, "Good job, you've done all your work," or "Nothing to see
Okay.
here, move along." Yeah, we've made those configurable now rather than just having a default empty state.
Nice, and that
And
aligns
the
to
way,
the regular interface too.
yep, precisely. Yeah, and the way you configure those is you basically configure a card that has no table attached to it, and you stick a static image and maybe a couple buttons on it to give the user something to do if they want to like create a new task or something along those lines. So any other, I think that covers everything that I wanted to touch on for Card Builder. Any other questions on Card Builder or Mobile App Builder?
There's no questions in the audience, more all just compliments about good unification of different form builders and stuff.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it.
And one person also said that as a visual person, it's way better now.
I'm happy to hear that. That is always the goal with our builders, is to make them easier to use and more visual every step of the way.
Hannah's been pretty quiet. Any thoughts from you?
No, I'm also a visual person, so I think these UI rules are really great. A great feature in Card Builder, and generally the build process in our builder products is low code, no code, and really does help the user see like each step of the way what it is they're configuring instead of having to reference back to their app, and just like helps with one less point of failure, which I really like, because in the platform when you're configuring, you don't really know where or why your data item's not coming up sometimes, or why your UI role isn't applying. And
Right.
here in the builders, you can see each step of the way.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Thank you for all the hard work. Looking forward to seeing what you've got coming up in Tokyo too. Or the August release. I forget. This is now through the store,
Yeah,
right?
we're
Yeah.
store release products, and the August release, especially for Card Builder, is going to have a lot more visually noticeable stuff. The main work we're doing for App Builder is more just that mobile platform feature parity, and so more config panels, more records that we support. But a lot of it will have the very similar look and feel to the current tool. The Card Builder with those new elements and the new configuration points that we're adding in, there'll be a lot of fun stuff we can do there.
And for all those people who like editing JSON, you can still do that if you really want.
Yes, yes, you can. Nothing stops you from going to platform and writing your own JSON.
I have a hammer. You can hit your thumb with it too.
Well, and I mean, we joke about that, but if I haven't mentioned it before, one nice thing about Mobile Card Builder is it's smart enough where if you do want to write your own JSON, but you don't want to, spend the time like mapping the view template slot records to the JSON cell IDs and the view config attribute records to the view template slot records. You just write the JSON, open it up in Mobile Card Builder, and Mobile Card Builder will create all those for you in the background. So that might not be a common use case, but again, if you like writing JSON, you want to write your own JSON and let Card Builder do the rest for you once you open the template, that works too.
Excellent. Thank you very much to both of you for joining us today. Do we have any announcements, gentlemen?
This no live code this Friday. In turn, we're going to do a live code. Our season finale live code happy hour is happening next week instead, and we're going to have some fun games and stuff for people to participate in. So don't miss that. What else?
Register for CreatorCon.
Yes.
For CreatorCon.
Yes. Knowledge.servicenow.com. Check that little box that says, I want to go to CreatorCon. New York, The Hague, 11th and 12th of May. Sydney, Las Vegas, 25th, 26th of May. So hopefully you can get to one of those. If you need some sort of information, ping one of us. We'll be happy to get you the information, get you any inside scoop. There's great discussions happening over on the Slack channel, sndevs.com. You can find lot of information. They've even subdivided new channels just for the location discussions, getting very close and very interesting. And I had to use the fire extinguisher this morning because I think my hair was on fire for some of the activities. We are rushing around like crazy people trying to get this all wrapped up for you in time. So standard fare for an April. Look forward to seeing
Chuck,
everybody there. Yes.
If I may, Hannah and I may be in Sydney. So we're hoping to be in Sydney, and if there's anybody out there using App Builder or Car Builder, look for us, and maybe we can answer some questions for you live and in person.
There you
We
go.
love
Take
feedback.
a screenshot, put that on your mobile device so you can walk around and go, "Are you David? Are you Hannah?" Those are some of my trade secrets for how to spot faces.
It's hard to catfish on a video, so we promise we look like this.
Thank you very much once again, and everybody stay safe. We'll see you real soon. Hopefully really, really soon in person. Take care. Bye.